Hello guys and welcome to another discussion video. Today I want to discuss the topic of whether you should choose a Pirates team or a Sausans team if you're planning to go and level up your character in a party scenario. So the reason why I want to discuss this topic is because I myself have been wondering this for probably a few weeks, that if Sausans got buffed, is it actually better than getting a party at Pirates just purely to grind for experience? Now, while discussing this topic, please keep in mind that for some people grinding solo of course is going to be better than grinding in a party. So I'm not basically trying to explain what is the best experience in the game, because obviously right now the best experience in the game is to grind solo with a very fast class. Like for example my wizard, I always get more experience solo than I get in a party. Probably the only exception to this rule is if you manage to get a party to grind Akman and that party is actually fast enough, but I myself never actually did Akman, so I'm basically considering solo grinding on my wizard as being the fastest way to actually get experience. Now for this test I basically managed to find a fast Sausans team and also a fast Pirates team. So basically I'm going to be comparing the scenario in which you actually manage to find a very fast Pirates team that is capable of doing the back rotation as well on top of the normal main rotation, as you can see on the screen, and also the scenario where you actually can get a Sausans team that is able to complete the entire rotation before mobs can fully respawn. And also in my case I was actually sniping 2 extra groups on Sausans, so basically it was the entire main rotation plus 1 or 2 extra groups. So the only scenario that I'm going to be talking about is the one where you basically outperform the experience potential for both areas, for both Pirates and Sausans. So to finally start discussing about something, let's first start off with the Pirates area, because this is the place that I actually got to test first. Now the video that is playing on the background right now was actually recorded at the same time as the test. So if you want to see my party's clearing speed or compare it with yours, then you can just watch the video on the background. I'm not going to say that this party is the fastest one ever, but since we were actually able to clear most of the back rotation, then it is one of the faster parties that you can find at Pirates. On this party I actually managed to test the experience 3 different times, the first one being a 10 minutes run, the second one only a 3 minutes run, so I'm not sure how useful that data will be, and the last one another 10 minutes run. Outside of these 3 tests, either a party member had to go AFK or they had to go repair, so I didn't want to test any further, because if we miss one party member then of course the clearing speed of the entire group decreases. So out of these 3 runs, including the one of only 3 minutes, I got an experience ranging from 0.030% to 0.034% experience per minute. And the one that was with 34 basically is the 3 minutes run, which may have been a few seconds longer just because it takes a while to actually type in the chat and take the screenshot, so that may have been a little bit higher than what I would have expected. But if I make an average out of these runs, basically the experience in this group was around 0.032% experience per minute. Now, before I move on to actually compare this value to the Sausans test, I want to first point out that when I tested Pirates I was level 58, and also I was kind of getting a little bit carried by my team, because I wasn't really clearing as fast as I was at level 59 on the Sausans test. So I'm pretty sure that if I would get a fast team to redo the test at 59, I would get just a little bit more experience on the Pirates side. There are of course many complications to this type of test because not always all party members are within the experience sharing range, and also the clearing speed kind of fluctuates between each round of the rotations. So as I said, this 0.032 experience value is what I got now, but it could be a little bit higher or lower depending on your situation. Now to move on to the Sausan side, basically by the time I was able to find a fast enough team I was already level 59, so I'm going to have to convert the value from 59 to 58 to compare the two grinding spots. But here at Sausans again I got to test this rotation 3 times. The first time for 10 minutes, second time also for 10 minutes, and the third time for only 8 minutes because it was almost night time, so I just had to stop the test earlier. Now if I make an average out of these runs, then on the Sausan side from this party I got about 0.014% experience per minute at level 59. So to be able to compare this value I would obviously have to convert it back to level 58, and for my previous tests and the charts online I just have to basically multiply this value by 2 and it should result in a level 58 value. So multiplying this value by 2 I get about 0.027 or almost 28% experience per minute, and this is the value that I would have to take and compare to the one at Pirates. Now even though for the Sausan's test I was level 59, it doesn't really matter at all, because what I am testing in this video is purely the grinding speed of a party. So if I could be level 58 and still help my party achieve the same clearing speed, then the experience shouldn't change at all. Now already from what you can notice, the Pirates test turned out to give me more experience than the Sausans one, and I can pretty much explain why, even though Sausans actually got buffed. So in my opinion the main reason why Pirates can give more experience than Sausans is simply because most people at Pirates extend the main rotation to include the back rotation as well. So in total you have a lot more mobs because you're basically doing 2 rotations at once, while at Sausans if you want to extend the main rotation then you can basically take 1 or 2 extra groups and that's about it. So you're much more limited in terms of how many mobs you actually have. So it would actually be really interesting if I would return to Pirates and find a main rotation team that can only do the normal main rotation and compare that one to the Sausan side. Now to draw some useful conclusion out of this, I want to say that both Sausans and Pirates have their own places. So basically even though Pirates can give you more experience than Sausans, still both areas have their own place, because let's take for example the scenario in which you want to only grind for 1 hour. Well, in that case if you want to grind for only 1 hour or say 2 hours, then I would have to say that Pirates isn't really the way to go, simply because it takes you 20 minutes to go from Velia to the Pirate Island and then another 20 minutes to return. So if you want to grind for only short amounts of time, then most likely Sausans is the way to go. But on the other hand, if you want to grind for an extended period of time, like for example 4 hours or more during a weekend, then of course you're going to get more experience overall on the Pirate Island. Another difference between these two spots is that on the Pirate Island it's actually much harder to achieve a high clearing speed because you actually need geared team members, while on the Sausan side it's much easier because on Pirate Island most of the time each team member has to kill their own group, so team members are more spread and it actually matters a lot more what attack power they have, while on the Sausan side you have less groups and usually they have more monsters per group. So if you have only 1 or 2 geared team members, you can basically achieve the same result in terms of clearing speed. Basically, you can view it as Sausans being the easy version and Pirates being the harder one, where at Sausans you can basically outgrind the respawn timer with only 1 or 2 geared people, and at the Pirates you actually need every team member to be somewhat geared to actually be able to grind both the main spot and the back rotation. Now, another difference that might be big or small depending on your situation is how the loot actually works on these two spots, because on the Pirate Island, on my Berserker's scenario with about 800 weight limit, I actually have to go and drop my items on the boat and on my horse about each 25 or so minutes. So I usually have to do this at least twice per hour, and on the Sausan side, if I take my horse and I put it right near the rotation, I can basically grind the main spot for 1.5 hours or even 2 hours before I actually have to go to the Sarma outpost and exchange them. So depending on how much downtime you actually have, you might get about the same experience at Sausans overall if you actually are in my situation and have to go to your boat every 25 minutes at Pirate Island. So this is of course a very particular case, but it might make the difference in the experience for those who are lower level. Now, before I end the video, to draw a final conclusion, basically if I take these two numbers and compare the Sausans one to the Pirate one, then at the Pirate Island you can get on average, or from my test, about 15% more experience than you can get at Sausans. So if you wanted a percentage value, then you can basically take this and say that Pirate Island is about 15% faster than Sausans. So with this all being said, I'm about done with the video. I hope I didn't miss anything, and if I did, then just leave a comment below and we can discuss about this further. So if you stuck this long on the video, then thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time.